All
Recording
right,
is
thank you
on.
for joining me today. I'm Dave Hultin, and I am your AI for Printers workshop host. Today's workshop is about using the cross-selling strategy AI workflow prompt, and we'll use that as a real practical example of how AI workflows turn AI guesswork into something you and your team can actually rely on. Now, during the workshop, when you hear me use the term AI workflow, I'm simply talking about a structured AI prompt that's designed to guide the work it does with you step by step so the results are consistent instead of hit or miss. That'll become obvious as we go through the workshop. So, speaking of the workshop, here's our agenda for the workshop. We will be hands-on, so get ready with your favorite AI tool. That could be ChatGPT, it could be Claude, Google Gemini, Copilot, any of them. Now, if you don't have a favorite yet, if you just haven't even started with AI, that's fine. Just go to chatgpt.com and create an account. It'll take you about 30 seconds, and the free version will work for everything we'll be doing today. Most printers I talk with, they're not asking, should we use AI? I think that question's already been answered many times over. They're asking a question that's much more telling. They're asking, why does trying harder with AI still feel like guesswork? You try a prompt, you get results that look decent, and you try again tomorrow and it's different, or it's generic, or it doesn't quite fit how your print business actually works. So the problem isn't effort, it's that most people are using AI like a one-off tool instead of a repeatable system. And when you use AI that way, you're either going to be underwhelmed or overwhelmed or land somewhere between fear and confusion. Today is really about seeing the huge potential in AI so you don't get stuck in fear and confusion. And that's the agenda we're going to go through. We're going to run a workflow, we're going to see the whole system, and then we'll talk about the ways to keep that momentum going. So let's do it. Let's get started. Before we start the hands-on part, though, I do want to get a feel for how you and your team are using AI today. So look for the meeting chat, and that's that word bubble icon in your screen, and enter one of those letters, A, B, C, or D. What I'm looking for is the way that best describes your team's AI usage. And drop the one in that matches you the best. Is it A, you use AI, but your team does not? Is it B, a few people on my team use AI casually? Maybe it's C, your team has a structured approach for using AI. Maybe you don't have a team. Maybe you're a solo worker, and that would be D. So go ahead and pick the one that matches you best and drop that into the chat. I do want to get that answer, but I also want to make sure that you can find the chat because we will be going hands-on a little bit later, very soon, actually. So I do need to see that you can actually get to that chat. So go ahead and drop me that letter, A, B, C, or D. I see one person has found the chat. Thanks, Clem. Anybody else? I want to make sure that you can find that chat there. So which way describes your AI usage? All right, we're getting a few answers there. Great. Okay, you're finding the chat. That's good. Let's keep on going. So let's talk about why you're here today. Most likely you heard me talk about the simple version of the cross-selling strategy prompt, either at aiforprinters.com, or maybe you caught wind of this workshop through my posts on LinkedIn. Some of you requested the upgraded version of that simple prompt at aiforprinters.com so you could get even better results. And we'll walk through that too. But for today's big win, I'm going to show you the AI workflow version of the prompt. And that's the one everyone actually wants because that's the one that helps you get real, meaningful work done with AI. It's the version of the prompt that produces the high-value results. And you'll get today's cross-selling strategy AI workflow prompt in just a moment. But let's build up to it by looking just high level at the simple prompt. And honestly, this prompt is usually too basic, so I kind of hope you don't use it. But I still want to show it to you so that you can use that as a reference point to better see where we're going. So there it is on the screen. I'll just quickly read it here, and I'll show you a pre-run version of that. The prompt is this: ask me for my main print products and services. Once you have that, identify natural cross-selling opportunities based on how commercial printers usually operate. Focus on products and services that typically go together. Okay, so if we look at that as our simple prompt, and I am going to go into my AI and bring that up, and I did not have that up right away, so let me get back to it. Here is that simple prompt. So what I just read on the screen, I'll go back up to the top. There it is. I just put that into my AI and sent it in. It's kind of an interesting one because instead of asking AI something, I'm asking AI to ask me something. Ask me for my main print products and all of the rest. And it does that. AI comes along and says, before I map this out, I need to understand your core offerings. What are the main print products and services at Print Perfect? That's my fictitious print shop here. And it offers even some suggestions there. And I come back, and when it asks me to share the core products and services, I say our main products are brochures, flyers, postcards, and all of the rest. This simple prompt is interesting. I actually got a little bit more information than I usually get out of a simple prompt. I won't go into the details, but I'll show you here. It's going to identify natural cross-selling pathways based on how printers typically operate. So we're saying brochures rarely live alone. Logical cross-sells, and it lists them. And it does the same thing for flyers and postcards and direct mail and on and on. So we're actually getting a lot of extra information out of this simple prompt. I think this one's actually a little more than simple. But for today's purposes, that is what we mean by a simple prompt. A quick question in and a response back. The next prompt is the prompt upgrade. This one is a little bit bigger. It's asking for more context. That additional context will help us get better results. We're setting higher expectations for the results that AI produces here. So this prompt, we're telling AI, you are a skilled commercial printing sales strategist with deep expertise in revenue growth and customer retention. Wouldn't we all like that person on our staff? Well, there it is. There's that person on our staff here. First, ask me the following context about my print shop. Ask these questions one at a time and wait for my response before you ask the next question. And we have 5 questions here. Core products. What finishing, mailing, or fulfillment capabilities do you have? And on and on. Once I provide these answers, create a complete cross-selling framework that includes cross-selling opportunity map, customer segmentation, messaging strategies. All right, I kind of blasted through that one a little bit higher, a little bit quickly, but I do want to show you what that looks like at a high level. So if we pull that up, we'll go all the way back to the top. Everything that I just read, I just dump it right into that AI. I copy that out and we put it into our AI and just hit enter. And AI does exactly what we asked it to do. We asked AI to take on this role of this expert role and ask us these 5 questions and then come back with the complete cross-selling framework. So there it is. There's question 1. What are your core products and services? And we answer. What finishing, mailing, or fulfillment capabilities do we have? And we answer. Question 3, primary business goals for cross-selling. Question 4, how does your team currently handle sales conversations? And question 5, do you currently have visibility into customer purchase history and order patterns? We answer all 5 of those questions. AI goes to work, and here comes our cross-selling opportunity map. And I'm not just going to stay high level on that. You can get this prompt. If you don't already have that, you can get this upgraded prompt at aiforprinters.com and try it out for yourself. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, and by the way, aiforprinters.com, it'll look like this, so you'll make sure you're in the right place. Now, on the next screen, we're going to move to the AI workflow prompt. You're going to see what an AI workflow looks like, and it's probably going to look a lot longer than you expect. That's normal. Using it really is as simple as copying and pasting and then answering the questions as it walks you through the workflow. So here it is. This is what you came here for. This is the cross-selling strategy AI workflow prompt. And it's the prompt I'm going to be giving you today in just a moment here. This is the one that turns AI from interesting into useful. Now, before I walk through this, I want to pause just for one more second. What you've seen so far is how improving a prompt improves results. What you're about to see is what happens when you stop trying to get the prompt right and instead let the workflow do the thinking for you and with you. So when this comes up on the screen, it's going to look a lot longer than what we've done so far. That doesn't mean it's harder for you. It means AI has more to work with, which actually means there are fewer decisions for you to make to get the quality work done. You're not expected to remember any of this. You don't have to understand how it's written. You just copy it, paste it, and answer the questions as you walk through the workflow. This is you and AI working together over multiple steps. AI does the hard work. You check in to keep it pointing in the right direction. I'm going to walk you through it now. Look for the improvements as we progress from a simple prompt to the upgraded prompt and then to this AI workflow prompt. And then right after my quick walkthrough, we'll go hands-on when I share that cross-selling strategy AI workflow prompt with you. So here is what that looks like. Let me get that back up on my screen and pull this all the way back up to the top. Sorry if that's making anyone seasick there, a lot of information. And here is the workflow prompt. When I give it to you, make sure to put all of it in there, including this first line, run this workflow step by step, and everything else that follows. And it will look like a lot, just like I'd mentioned. Again, don't worry about that. Just put it into your chat and hit enter, and AI will take it from there. So what happens? Few things to point out. I'm going to stay high level for the most part, but there are a few details I do want to share with you here because they're important. First thing is, once AI starts running, it'll introduce itself. AI will now take on the role of the sales and marketing expert for commercial printing, focused on practical cross-selling that increases revenue per customer without turning your shop into a pushy add-on factory. Doesn't that sound nice? That's what we want. And then AI says, here are the steps that we're going to work through. And it lists the 6 steps. Define cross-selling goals, identify cross-selling opportunities, segment customers for cross-selling, develop messaging and campaigns, implement AI for cross-sell predictions, and finalize the cross-selling strategy. We'll wrap up and then we'll have course completion, a playbook, and optional next steps. And here's one thing, one of those details that I want to point out. After this introduction, the AI workflow will then ask you if you want a quick summary of the concepts behind cross-selling. That might be second nature to you, but if cross-selling says, well, yeah, I think I know what that is, but I really want to kind of freshen up my understanding, you just type in summary, and it'll take all of that information that it knows it's going to work on, and it'll give you a summary of what we're doing here. Here are the core concepts of cross-selling. It's not about it is about solving the whole marketing problem. Natural pairing beats forced bundling. Cross-selling should increase value, not complexity. And there's details on each one of these, of course. And on and on. Timing matters more than technique. AI changes the game if used correctly. And there's our summary. You don't have to do that summary, but it's kind of a good idea to do that. Just at least have a little bit of a feel for where AI is taking our conversation. Once we do that, now we move on to step 1. Remember, if I back up here just a moment, there are 6 steps that we're going to go through. And we're going to start with step 1. I want to spend just a short moment, well, a little bit of time on step 1 so you understand what's happening here. At each one of these steps, AI is going to introduce the step. It's going to ask you for some information. What are your primary goals? The introduction first. We begin by determining the objectives of cross-selling, and then what are your primary goals? Even suggest some examples here. And says, what are your top priorities? We provide our answer. Our main goal is to increase average order value, and all the rest. We can put in as much information. We're giving AI context about what we're working with. And AI will then take that information, and AI will do that thinking and saying, here's what you said, and here's how I understand it. That's what's happening here. Define the cross-selling goals. Based on what you shared, here's a structured objective framework for Print Perfect. Our primary objective, our secondary objectives, and on, more information. Here's the part that I want you to see. Are you ready to move to step 2, identify cross-selling opportunities? And I'm being polite and say, yep, let's go, let's do it. But this is an important part. At each one of these steps, that's you, that's your role. You are the checkpoint. Before you move on to the step, on that next step, make sure that AI is going in a path that you feel is helpful. If you see anything that's a little bit off there, you say, no, I'm not ready to go to the next step. You have that conversation with AI just as if it's sitting right there with you, because it kind of is right underneath your fingers on the keyboard, and make sure that you are both under that same understanding before you move to that next step. All right, now I'll pick up the pace. I'll just walk you through. We can see that it is going on that path for each one of those steps, asking us for information. We come in and confirm, and then we can move on to step 3, give it the information it's asking all the way through. I'm going to fast forward. Here's an example. Step 4. Are you ready to move to step 4? Not yet. There's one small tweak I want to make. And we can just have that conversation with AI. AI will work with us until me and AI, resolve what's needed to be able to move on to that next step. On and on. Step 4 and on and on. We're going to fast forward to the end here. Step 5, and we get to the end. Step 6, finalize the cross-selling strategy. And we're seeing that happen. And AI says, what do we need to change, if anything? And here comes our playbook, and we can continue with some optional paths to continue. That is a high-level whirlwind tour of an AI workflow. All right, enough of me talking. Let's get this into your hands. Here it is. This is what an AI workflow prompt actually looks like. And remember, you don't have to read it. You don't have to understand how it works. Just know that all you need to do is copy and paste. So let me get that into the meeting chat for you, so that you can use it too. All right, that is in the meeting chat. And for those of you attending live, you can copy it from the meeting chat and get ready to put it into your AI. For those of you watching the recording, if you want the exact workflow you're looking at here, I'll let you know how you can access that too. Now, I want to be very clear about the goal of this hands-on part of the workshop. The goal is not to finish it. You can do that later. The goal is to get a feel of what it's like to work with an AI workflow prompt. So we'll get you started. You might already be started, and we're going to stop together after about 90 seconds. So I'll turn off my camera for that time and then come back on to bring us back together. So there it is. Now it's your turn to run the workflow. It's in the meeting chat. Just copy and paste it into your AI, run it, and let your AI lead the work. I'll give you 90 seconds to try the AI workflow. If questions come up, I'll be watching the chat, or you can open up your mic and ask your question. So go ahead, run the workflow. You have 90 seconds starting now. And remember, as you're running that, you might want to use that very first offer of a summary. Go ahead and do that. If you're ready to go to step 1, you can do that too. Just remember to work with AI. Let AI lead you. If you're not sure on how to answer AI on any of the questions, a couple of the things that you can do is you can say, help me decide. Just tell AI, help me decide. Or if you're feeling just more like a demo, you can also just say, answer for me. And AI will take everything it knows about who you are, because you've worked with AI, and it'll suggest the answers for you. Just a few things that you can do if you just want to kind of stay at that higher level and move through it quicker. And remember, if you have questions, feel free to open up your microphone and ask them, or drop a question into the meeting chat. I'll be happy to answer the quick win questions now, and then we can have time for questions later as well too. All right, and we are at the end of our 90 seconds. Let me get my camera back on. And let's pause here. So even if you're in the middle of something useful, remember, you don't need to finish this right now. You can come back to it later. What I want you to notice is this. You didn't have to figure out what to ask. You didn't have to think through the steps. You didn't have to remember anything. You were always in control, and the workflow did the heavy lifting. That's the difference between just playing with AI and actually using it to get real work done. If that felt easier than what you expected, that's not an accident. That's what happens when AI is structured to work the way you work. So, a quick note for anyone watching the recording. Live attendees just saw the workflow start working. If you want to run it yourself later, you'll be able to get the exact workflow we used in today's live workshop. And I'll explain how to do that before we wrap up. So now that you've seen the different levels of prompts, let's do another check-in and tell me how you are using AI today. Does the way you use AI match up with simple prompts, upgraded prompts, or AI workflow prompts? And another way to think about that, if you think of that famous line, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. The distance between A and B, that's the small step. The distance between B and C, that's your giant leap. So go ahead and drop your answer into the meeting chat. Which one of those prompting methods matches how you're using AI today? Is it A, simple prompts, B, upgraded prompts, or C, AI workflow prompts? Just give me a feel on what that means for you today. Okay, primarily simple prompts is one of the answers. Very common. That's almost always that's what I'm seeing is simple prompts and upgraded prompts. The workflow prompts, that's that big leap here. So let's keep on going. Let's talk about what that means. What you've just experienced is productivity with one workflow. It's not an AI trick. It's not a demo. It's one productivity workflow from a larger system we're actively refining for printers. And to me, what matters most is that it's shaped by how real printers like you are actually using this stuff. That workflow lives inside what we call the productivity toolkit. You just experienced what happens when AI brings structure to one part of your work. That's an important first step. But productivity alone doesn't produce meaningful business results. It's productivity multiplied by performance, multiplied by execution. That's where you get the results. That's what drives the formula. So let's zoom out for a moment. If you're responsible for sales and marketing in a commercial print shop, these are the buckets of work you're doing every day. They are your areas of responsibility for sales and marketing. Now let's move those areas of responsibility to the top of a grid and then fill the columns with the tasks that need to happen in each one of those areas, whether you feel like it or not. This isn't a to-do list, it's a map. Each box represents a structured AI workflow for that specific piece of work. This can look like a lot, but here's what you need to understand. You are not meant to use all of this. In fact, the goal in the first 30 days is to use just 3 workflows. I don't want to add more work. I want to help you remove the friction from the work that's already there. That's what this is about. And the cross-selling strategy workflow that you ran a few moments ago, that's from this toolkit, awkwardly hiding behind an opaque box here, but you can kind of see it on there. That's from the toolkit here. You don't have to build it. You didn't need some fancy AI architect knowledge. You just ran the workflow. That's the difference between having a toolbox with labels and having the tools already built, ready to use. And when you work with a structured AI workflow, you plus AI can do the job at least 10 times faster with no compromise in quality and usually an increase in quality. Now think about what happened when you ran today's cross-selling strategy workflow. It was you plus AI. You were always in control. You didn't have to figure out the steps. You didn't have to decide, what do I ask next? You just move forward. That's the 10x faster momentum. And there's no compromise in quality because you are still the checkpoint. You are quality control. That's why we're stopping after each one of those steps and saying, is AI going on the right path here? That's your role. You're the quality control to make sure there's no compromise in quality. And you'll notice the quality of your work increase. That's because you're no longer guessing your way through it. And that, I don't know that that was always true. But we can cross out that usually words today. It's true now, and it becomes more true every single day. An increase in quality when you use AI to help you with your work, when you use structured AI. So today's workflow was about productivity. That's getting the work you already do done faster and more consistently. But productivity alone doesn't create results. If you just get the same work done faster, you're still doing the same work. Performance is where improvement happens. Performance is running small, focused experiments in order to improve what's working. And whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. AI doesn't just help you move faster, it helps you test ideas faster. So let's look at what that actually means in your role. Productivity gives you time back. Now, what are you going to do with that time? Because if all AI does is help you move faster, but you're still guessing, then you're just guessing at a higher speed. So that's where performance comes in. Performance is about improving outcomes. We're not talking about doing more work. We're talking about doing better work. And that starts by being clear about what you're actually trying to improve. In plain English, what's on your screen now, that's outcomes. These are the things you're responsible for getting better at over time in the sales and marketing work that you're doing. So let's look underneath each one here. You'll see a combination of experts and known strategies from those experts. There's a few that are highlighted on the screen. This toolkit represents tens of thousands of dollars of world-class consultant level work completed at the speed of AI. We're getting world-class results, and we're compressing clock time and calendar time. And you don't have to use all of it. You just need to know it's there when you're ready. So this isn't random inspiration. This is structured performance thinking. Each box in this grid is an experiment that runs as an AI workflow. And we could run any of these AI workflows, just like we did with the cross-selling strategy workflow from the productivity toolkit. Just like before, it'd be a simple copy and paste exercise to start a process where we add context as AI interviews us at each step of the workflow. Now, here's what AI does differently. It lets you run these experiments quickly, without hiring consultants, without weeks of planning, and without guessing where to start. And here's a rule of business. Whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. Everything in the performance experiment toolkit can be turned into a bunch of experiments to help you increase the performance and effectiveness of your business. AI can help you run those experiments very quickly and very efficiently. AI will draw the information out of you. It'll help bring things to the surface that you might not have even ever thought about. And it will get you working with the knowledge of a world-class expert to help you with that performance experiment. And out of 10 experiments, most will improve something. One experiment might feel like a fail. That's the nature of experimenting. But somewhere in there, there's that one that might just change everything. You don't find that breakthrough by thinking about it. You find that breakthrough by running the experiments. And this is where speed changes the game. AI doesn't just give you ideas, it helps you test those ideas 10 times faster. So imagine that you and I have exactly the same skill set. You run 2 experiments this quarter, I run 20. Who improves faster? Who learns faster? Who adapts faster? Well, that's why I can say whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. And now you can run them too with world-class expertise baked right in. This is powerful stuff here. Now, remember how we started this workshop? You ran the cross-selling strategy workflow. Just one workflow, and it worked. You didn't have to figure out what to ask. You didn't have to design the steps. You just move forward to get results. Now, here's the bigger idea. If one structured workflow can change how you complete a single task, what happens when you apply that same structure across your entire sales and marketing role? Now, I'm not talking about random prompts or scattered experiments. This is not a try it and hope it works moment. I'm talking about a complete execution system built specifically for commercial printers. It has productivity, so your daily work moves faster. Performance, so your improvements are intentional. And then execution, so nothing stalls out. That's the difference. And honestly, most printers are not operating this way yet. They're experimenting with AI, they're trying the prompts, but they don't have the structure. And without structure, AI becomes just another interesting idea that never turns into a consistent execution. The AI Workflow Toolkit membership, that's what gives you that structure. It moves you beyond casual AI usage and into a system that runs your sales and marketing with intention. It's a system that keeps your sales and marketing efforts moving forward, even when production is slammed and you're overloaded. So as we wrap up, here's a simple bullet point overview of what continuing actually looks like. Continuing means access to both toolkits built specifically for sales and marketing and commercial printing. You can share all those workflows with your team. New workflows are added as we refine them based on real printer usage. And every other week, we meet in the AI Roundtable to look at what's working and help you apply that inside your business. This is not software. You're not paying for features or seats. You're stepping into a structured execution system built for printers who want their sales and marketing to stop stalling. So the membership is $199 per month or $19.99 annually. Today, I'm still offering the early access to the AI Workflow Toolkit membership. The workflows are already proven and in use, but we haven't hit that full public launch yet. Early access reflects how we're rolling it out right now before we make it broadly available, and that'll happen by the end of this quarter. So most printers know within the first month or two whether this is helping them, and that's why it's monthly. You can cancel at any time. Find that out in a very real way if that's helpful for you. So whenever I'm deciding whether something is worth doing, I usually run a decision through these three simple questions. First, will this help me get closer to my goals? If your goal is to run a more streamlined AI-powered sales and marketing operation without adding more chaos, without hiring another person, and without guessing, then yes, this moves you in that direction. You've already experienced what a structured AI workflow feels like. The question isn't whether they work. The question is, do you want that consistent structure? Second question, does this increase my chance of success versus doing it alone? You can absolutely piece this together on your own. There's tons of AI information out there, but that usually means trial and error, filtering all the AI noise, inconsistent execution, and yet one more thing claiming space in your mind. This system gives you proven workflows for printers, plus an execution rhythm so the work actually moves forward. And that dramatically increases the odds that this actually sticks. And third, can I realistically make the investment work? Well, for most printers, that's not a philosophical question. That's a practical question. So if the workflow saves you an hour a week, if better follow-up lands one additional job, if you can get better sales and marketing results with less thinking required, then the math takes care of itself. So if you can answer yes to those three questions, then continuing makes sense. And there's a link coming on the next screen and in the chat. Let me grab that for you here. And that link will give you that path to continue. And if not, just make sure that you take the cross-selling strategy workflow and put it to work. So either way, don't leave empty-handed today. So here we are kind of coming up towards the end of the workshop. Most printers leave a workshop excited and then get pulled back into the day-to-day of production. That's normal. That's the world we live in. If you're serious about implementing this, we need to structure your first 30 days properly. The 30-day AI Momentum Sprint is something I offer separately for $500. It includes a private implementation session to get you going right away. For printers that enroll before 4 p.m. Central Time today, I'm including that sprint at no additional cost. Here's what that means. We schedule one private 30-minute implementation session where we map your first workflows to your priorities. You'll receive a customized 30-day execution plan, and over those 30 days, I'll personally hold you accountable so this doesn't become just another good idea that fades away. The goal is not more information. The goal is momentum. And then after those 30 days, you transition fully into the roundtable rhythm with everybody else. So to wrap things up, I'd like to share why I'm doing this. I started exploring AI partly out of curiosity, but mostly because I wanted to make sure that my company, Marketing Ideas for Printers, was prepared for a world about to be saturated with AI. But it became so much more than that. For me, this is personal. I've spent my career helping printers succeed, and I've never seen a shift like this one. AI is not a trend, it's a transformation, and you can approach this transformation not with fear, but with confidence. I want you to have the tools, the confidence, and the support not only to keep up with AI, but to lead with AI. That's why we built this AI Workflow Toolkit membership specifically for printers like you, because it fits perfectly with our promise of helping you sell more printing. And that brings us to the end of the workshop itself. Everything you need to start using AI workflows is now complete. If you're watching the recording, you're in a good place to take what you've seen today and apply it on your own time. For those of you who are attending live, I'm going to stop the recording and stay with you for a few moments to answer questions or to help you think through how this might apply in your business.